Have you ever noticed how some older men command attention without saying a word? What is it about them that makes people stop, turn, and silently respect their presence? Today, we're peeling back the curtain on that quiet magnetism, and you might be surprised by what's behind it. Hey there, welcome back. If you've ever found yourself wondering what really makes an older man stand out, not just in terms of looks, but in presence, poise, and unspoken confidence, then you're exactly where you need to be. Because as we grow older, something interesting begins to shift. Attractiveness is no longer about flashy clothes, trendy haircuts, or trying to prove something to the world. It evolves, it deepens. Instead of noise, it's about stillness. Instead of chasing trends, it's about walking your path with purpose. With age comes a different kind of power, one rooted in lived experience, self-assurance, and the calm strength that makes people take notice the moment you enter a room. It's not something you buy, it's something you become. And in today's video, we're diving into 7 timeless secrets that reveal what truly makes an older man attractive, not just to women, but to everyone. Now, let me be clear, this isn't about vanity. It's not about surface-level tricks or acting like someone you're not. This is about learning how to embrace maturity, to embody emotional depth and presence in a way that naturally draws people in. The kind of qualities that leave a lasting impact long after the conversation is over. So whether you're in your 40s, your 60s, or anywhere in between, what you learn here will help you refine how you carry yourself, not by trying to be someone else, but by uncovering the most powerful, authentic version of who you already are. Ready to see what those 7 secrets are? Picking up from where we left off, remember, this journey isn't about becoming someone else. It's about uncovering the deeper strength of who you already are. And if you stay with me until the end, the final insight might just shift the way you see yourself and how others respond to you. Let's get into it. Secret #1. Confidence is the most attractive accessory, but not the loud, performative kind. Real confidence doesn't beg to be noticed, it arrives. It settles into a room like it belongs there. Because it does. For men over 40, confidence is no longer about proving your worth. It's about knowing it deep in your bones. You've lived, you've lost, you've rebuilt. And through it all, you've come to realize, true strength doesn't roar. It grounds you. Women feel that. Younger men often scramble to impress, talking fast, bragging in subtle ways, cracking jokes to fill the silence. But the man who's lived through enough learns something powerful. Silence can speak volumes. He doesn't need to interrupt or dominate a conversation. He waits. He listens. He lets the moment come to him, and that unshakable calm is something women instinctively trust. I once worked with a 54-year-old architect who used to feel completely invisible at social gatherings. He thought he needed to say more, do more, be more. But everything changed when he stopped performing and started showing up. Just his steady posture, even tone, and quiet presence shifted the entire room. At one dinner party, he barely spoke. But when he did, people leaned in. One woman even told him, "You made the room feel slower, safer. I noticed it before you even said a word." That's the magic of genuine confidence. It's not about how much space you take up. It's about the quality of the space you hold, without apology, without forcing it. A woman doesn't just notice what a man says. She feels how he says it. The slow, thoughtful cadence of his voice, the calm in his posture, the stillness in his energy. That quiet confidence signals more than self-assurance. It signals emotional safety, and in today's restless, fast-moving world, that is rare and magnetic. It's in the way you sit upright without tension, the way you walk into a room without needing to be noticed, the way you speak without rushing to fill the air. These micro-signals add up. And when a man doesn't need attention to feel valuable, he becomes the one everyone notices. She may not remember your exact words, but she'll remember the way you made her feel calm, clear, steady. And in a world that often feels chaotic, that grounded energy is unforgettable. That's the power of a man who knows his worth. He doesn't perform. He simply is, and that is what she can't look away from. Now, if that resonates with you, wait until you hear what we cover next. Because the second trait builds on this one, and might just challenge everything you thought was attractive. Let's keep going. We just talked about the quiet power of confidence, how a man who knows his worth doesn't need to prove it. Now let's talk about something just as powerful, yet often underestimated, the way you present yourself to the world. Secret number 2, refined, effortless style. There comes a point in every man's life when the question shifts from what's trending to what truly represents who I am. That small, internal pivot changes everything. It marks the difference between chasing attention and embodying presence. And for women, especially those who are drawn to older men, this subtle shift is one of the most attractive signals a man can give. Style isn't about loud colors, designer logos, or trying to imitate the latest fashion runway. In fact, few things chip away at a man's maturity faster than dressing like someone half his age. Women notice this. They can tell when a man's outfit is trying too hard to impress instead of simply reflecting who he has become. There's something deeply comforting, reassuring, even about a man who knows what suits him. Not just in terms of clothing, but in terms of identity. When a man walks into a room wearing a perfectly tailored navy blazer, a crisp white shirt, dark jeans, and polished leather shoes, what she sees isn't just fabric. She sees discipline, cleanliness, a sense of structure. She sees a man who speaks the language of simplicity and strength. Without uttering a single word. It's as if his entire look says, I've been through enough seasons to know exactly who I am, and I dress accordingly. Refined style isn't just about what you wear. It's also about what you leave behind. No oversized graphic hoodies. No distressed denim trying to imitate youth. Instead, timeless essentials that reflect self-respect and inner clarity. And it goes beyond clothes. Thoughtful grooming completes the picture. A neatly trimmed beard, a clean haircut, skin that shows care, not neglect. Because when a man takes care of himself physically, it often reflects how he handles himself emotionally and mentally too, and that matters more than you think. This isn't about vanity. It's about self-leadership. A man who puts care into his appearance tells the world, I take myself seriously. And women respond to that instinctively. When he walks into a room dressed with quiet elegance, people pay attention before he even opens his mouth, because refined style isn't loud. But it's impossible to ignore. The truth is, the most attractive older men aren't trying to look younger. They're simply aiming to be the best version of the age they are. And women can feel that. They're not looking for a man who mimics Gen Z. They're drawn to a man who wears his years gracefully with confidence, clarity, and calm intention. There's a saying, you don't get a second chance to make a first impression. But the truth is, when your style is authentic and aligned, you don't need a second chance. You notice not just the clothes, but the presence, the composure, the maturity you radiate. And speaking of presence, there's another trait that often goes unnoticed, yet speaks volumes about a man's depth. Let's explore that next. Previously, we touched on how refined style, when it's intentional and aligned with who you are, sends a powerful message without a single word. But what reinforces that message even more? The way you carry your physical presence. Secret number 3. Take care of your body, but don't obsess over it. Attraction doesn't begin with abs or a jawline. It starts in the mind, and it's revealed through energy. And when your appearance reflects discipline, clarity, and vitality, you create something far more valuable than attention. Emotional safety. You don't have to be flashy. You just have to be real. And in the quiet language of how you move, how you stand, how you take up space, that truth comes through. Now, yes, physical appearance might be the first thing that catches someone's eye in the dance between men and women. But it's not what keeps their attention. Women are far more captivated by the energy behind the appearance, vitality, presence, control, a quiet kind of strength. These subtle cues, how you stand, how you walk, how you move, speak louder than six-pack abs ever could. And no, this isn't about chasing perfection. It's about honoring the body that carries you through life. Think about it. Good posture, steady movement, and a confident physical presence tell a woman something deeper. They say, this man is in command of his life. And that message ripples outward. A man who stands tall, moves with purpose, and takes care of himself physically often shows signs of a disciplined, balanced, and resilient mind. Imagine two men. One slouches, shuffles when he walks, and seems unsure in his own skin. The other, let's say he's in his 50s, walks with his shoulders back, his spine aligned, each step grounded and intentional. Who feels more alive, more capable, more magnetic? That's the power of physical presence. It doesn't try to impress. It embodies something much deeper: resilience, readiness, and reliability. This alone can set you apart from many of your peers. And yet, many men fall into the trap of obsessing over their appearance, fueled by unrealistic images from social media and endless comparison. Ironically, this obsession can undermine true confidence, because women aren't drawn to insecurity, even when it's disguised behind a muscular frame. They're drawn to authenticity, to the man who shows up fully alive, not someone hiding behind an image. Women don't expect perfection. They want to see vitality, movement, strength, balance. Can you carry a heavy grocery bag without struggling? Can you keep up on an active weekend trip? These everyday moments speak volumes about your capacity to engage with life, and that's what they're looking for: not a flawless body, but a dependable presence. When you shift your focus away from perfection and toward presence, everything changes. You stop comparing. You stop chasing. You start embodying the man you were always meant to be. You don't need to look like a pro athlete or movie star. You just need to look like a man who respects his body, treats it like an ally, and keeps it strong and functional. Because that respect, it shows up in everything: your gaze, your posture, your walk. And yes, women notice that deeply. In the end, physical care is not about vanity, it's about self-respect. And that respect becomes the foundation for deeper emotional and intellectual connection. So take care of your body. Move with confidence. Stand tall. Show the world that you're fully engaged with life. That quiet power, it doesn't need to shout. And speaking of quiet power, there's another trait that works from the inside out. And when you master it, It changes how people feel in your presence. Let's explore that next dot. We just talked about how taking care of your body isn't about fitting a perfect image. It's about thriving in your own skin. Now let's shift to something far more subtle, yet deeply powerful. Secret number 4. A signature scent that people associate with you. When it comes to attraction, there's one element that's often overlooked, but it speaks volumes before you ever say a word. Your scent. Humans are hardwired to link smell with memory and emotion. It's a primal connection, deeply rooted in our nervous system. That's why a signature fragrance can become one of your most powerful tools, not just for appearance, but for creating a deep, lasting impression. A well-chosen cologne, worn subtly, doesn't just say I'm clean or I take care of myself. It whispers something more refined, intentionality. It speaks of quiet confidence, sophistication, and depth without ever needing to speak at all. When a woman encounters a man with a distinct scent, she doesn't just register it as pleasant, she anchors it to his presence. That smell becomes part of his invisible identity, his emotional fingerprint. Think of it like this. Your scent is an emotional bookmark. A trace of sandalwood, a hint of cedar, a whisper of spice. It can spark comfort, warmth, curiosity, or even a flicker of intrigue. The right fragrance becomes a sensory shorthand for who you are. It tells her you're deliberate in your choices, that you pay attention to details, that you care, not just about how you look, but how you're remembered. You know that moment when a certain smell instantly brings back a memory? A rush of emotion tied to someone, somewhere, sometime? That's the kind of lasting impression your scent can create. And here's the key. A signature scent doesn't demand attention. It invites it. It doesn't shout across the room. It lingers behind, leaving a trace of your presence that's unforgettable. Yet, many men underestimate this power. They treat fragrance like an afterthought, not realizing it's a language all its own. But when you choose a scent that aligns with your true self, something that complements your natural chemistry, you create something magnetic. A quiet, invisible extension of who you are. To master this subtle art, go for balance. Avoid overpowering or synthetic notes. Opt for fragrances that feel elegant, calm, grounded, something that feels like you, not a mask. The right scent becomes your silent ambassador, a reminder of the feelings you left behind. This matters even more in relationships, especially when it comes to the dynamic between older men and younger women. Why? Because younger women often seek that beautiful paradox, someone who feels stable, yet intriguing, someone who radiates calm, but still carries a spark of mystery. Your scent bridges that gap effortlessly. It becomes your invisible handshake, a sensory introduction that happens before a single word is spoken. It tells her you're thoughtful, that you care about yourself, that you leave a lasting impression, because you intend to. As one man once put it, a woman may forget your words, but never the scent that followed you. Now imagine combining that with emotional presence. Because up next, we're diving into something even more rare and even more powerful. Let's keep going. In the last section, we explored how a man's signature scent can leave an emotional imprint long after he's left the room. It's subtle, powerful, and unforgettable. But let's not forget, while scent touches emotion, it's your mind that creates lasting connection. Secret number 5. A sharp mind and engaging conversations. As a man enters his 40s and beyond, something quietly shifts. The superficial pull of youth or physical appearance starts to take a back seat. What rises to the surface, what truly captures attention, is the strength of his mind and the depth of his dialogue. Because for mature women, charm alone won't cut it. What captivates them is the man who can think deeply, speak meaningfully, and lead a conversation with wisdom, insight, and humor. This isn't about being the smartest man in the room. It's not about reciting facts or dominating every discussion. It's about knowing how to share through stories, lived experience, thoughtful reflection. The kind of man who can drop a simple sentence that makes someone pause and say, "Wow, I've never looked at it that way." Women are naturally drawn to men who read, who reflect, who stay curious. Why? Because those men offer a sense of stability and mental stimulation. They create a space where a woman feels both safe and inspired, like she's sitting across from someone who's still growing, evolving, and learning. That kind of presence is rare. And in today's world of surface-level conversations and short attention spans, it stands out. It's not just what you say, but how you say it. With humor seasoned by life's hard-earned lessons. With curiosity that feels alive, not forced. This kind of connection is a slow burn. It grows gradually with each conversation, revealing another layer of who you are. And in those exchanges, a woman doesn't just hear your words, she feels your maturity, your openness, your emotional depth. Picture this. You're telling a light-hearted story about a trip gone sideways, everyone's laughing. Then, without forcing it, you transition into a quiet reflection about a book you've been reading on human behavior. No lecture, no ego. Just presence. That ability to dance between light and deep, between laughter and introspection, is magnetic. It's rare. And it signals emotional intelligence. Women sense this. They see in you not just a conversation partner, but a companion, someone who can lead, listen, and co-create meaning in each moment. And here's something even more powerful. When you invite her thoughts, challenge her ideas gently, or share a new perspective with kindness, you create a space for vulnerability. You make her feel seen, and that's what builds trust and intimacy. This kind of connection isn't bound by age. In fact, it becomes your timeless advantage, because a man with a sharp, humble, passionate mind doesn't need to chase attention. He attracts it effortlessly. He radiates quiet confidence, not arrogance. Humility, not self-doubt. Passion, not performance. His energy doesn't overwhelm. It invites. And in the end, the conversations you have are a mirror of your inner world. They show whether you've lived on the surface or traveled deep into your own mind and heart. So read widely. Stay curious. Listen fully. The more you enrich your own mind, the more magnetic your presence becomes. Now, as we move forward, there's another layer that takes this mental connection even further. Because what good is deep conversation without the emotional strength to hold it? Let's dive into that next. Earlier, we talked about the deep pull of an engaging mind, the kind of man who connects through intellect and emotional presence. But even that connection becomes stronger when paired with something rare and quietly powerful. The ability to embrace who you are fully. Secret number 6. Age with grace, not fear. We live in a culture that worships youth. From glossy ads to social media filters, the message is constant. Younger is better. And sadly, many men fall into that trap, desperately clinging to a fading version of their past. They chase youth through cosmetic procedures, dress in clothes meant for someone half their age, or dye their hair so aggressively that it feels more like a disguise than self-care. But here's the truth. These attempts rarely go unnoticed. Women see it, not just with their eyes, but emotionally. There's a subtle disconnect, a tension that comes from a man who hasn't made peace with himself. And rather than appearing confident, these efforts often feel fragile, even a little desperate, because real attraction doesn't come from trying to look young. It comes from owning who you are, exactly as you are. True magnetism lies not in an illusion of eternal youth, but in the grounded presence of a man who accepts his age with dignity and strength. When a man shows up with silver hair, soft lines around his eyes, and a calm, steady gaze, he isn't signaling that he's past his prime. He's showing the world that he's lived and learned in and grown. That's far more captivating than any attempt to rewind the clock. These men don't spend energy hiding from time. They transform time into power. Their confidence comes from within, not from the mirror. They know their value doesn't depend on youthful looks, but on the wisdom, character, and resilience they've earned over decades. And women sense that deeply. There's something incredibly grounding about a man who's truly comfortable in his own skin. He's not trying to impress. He's simply present, and that presence speaks louder than any anti-aging cream ever could. Now, let's be clear, aging with grace doesn't mean giving up. Caring for your body, your grooming, your health, that's self-respect. But the key is doing it from a place of self-love, not fear or denial. This balance is what creates a rare energy, a man who's strong and approachable, someone who radiates authenticity instead of artificial youth. A man who embraces aging becomes a symbol of stability and emotional safety. In a world full of chaos, his steady presence is like a harbor. And for many women, that's more attractive than any six-pack or smooth skin. Because when he accepts himself fully, he also gives her permission to do the same. That's why you'll often hear women say things like, "There's just something solid about him. He's not trying to be someone else, and I feel safe with him." These aren't compliments about his looks. They're reflections of how deeply women crave security, authenticity, and emotional depth. Qualities that come naturally when a man stops fearing age and starts using it as his strength. Aging isn't a curse. It's not a limitation. It's a doorway, a gateway to deeper presence, deeper connection, and deeper attraction. When you stop seeing your changing face as a loss and start wearing it as a badge of honor, you unlock a kind of masculine presence that no youth can replicate. And that kind of man, he captivates not by trying to impress, but by having the courage to be unapologetically real. So, instead of resisting time, lean into it. Show up for your age with pride, with clarity, and with care. And when you do, something remarkable happens next. Let's talk about that in the final secret coming up. In the last section, we explored the quiet confidence that comes from embracing age with pride, not resisting it. And now we arrive at the final element, one that doesn't show up in the mirror, but is felt in every interaction. Secret. #7. Master the art of mystery and depth. In the intricate dance of attraction, mystery is one of the most powerful tools a man can carry, yet it's also one of the most misunderstood. Mystery isn't about playing games. It's not about withholding just to be clever. It's about embodying emotional depth and quiet reserve in a way that naturally pulls others in. Man who has mastered this art doesn't feel the need to share every detail of his life or constantly explain himself. Instead, he leaves just enough unsaid. He allows space for curiosity, inviting a woman to explore his world, layer by layer, rather than handing her the full map all at once. Women are instinctively drawn to men who live full, independent lives that extend beyond the moment. beyond the interaction. When you show that you have your own world, passions, values, and pace, you become magnetic without trying. This isn't emotional distance. It's not aloofness or coldness. It's about having a strong inner world that doesn't need validation. To feel real. Sometimes, it's in the way you hold a glance without saying a word, or in how you offer a short, sincere answer instead of rushing to fill silence. Even a quiet pause before speaking can say more than a monologue. These subtle choices, deliberate and calm, communicate something powerful: presence, maturity, self-possession. And perhaps the most powerful unspoken message of all: I don't need you, but I choose you. That shift changes everything. It places you in a position of calm, centered confidence, where your value isn't dependent on approval. You become someone who gives attention as a choice, not as a need. That kind of grounded energy is deeply attractive. Why? Because it mirrors security. It signals to a woman that you are whole on your own, and therefore, everything you share with her is genuine, not driven by lack. Mystery also has a practical power. When a man overshares too soon, it can feel like an emotional flood, leaving little room for intrigue, trust building, or balance. But when you reveal your story gradually, in pieces that feel intentional and real, it creates a slow burning connection. Trust builds naturally. Curiosity grows. Attraction deepens, not because you're hiding anything, but because you're respecting the pace of intimacy. Think of the man who listens more than he talks, who doesn't rush to fill silence with noise, who chooses his words with care instead of trying to impress with quantity. His restraint doesn't make him distant. It makes him captivating, because it tells her there's more beneath the surface, and she can feel it. In deeper relationships, this mystery transforms into emotional intelligence. A man who holds his inner world with quiet dignity and reveals it with intention shows that he's walked through life, learned, and grown. He's not afraid to be vulnerable, but he knows that timing, boundaries, and earned trust matter. That balance, openness with restraint, is rare. And that's why it's magnetic. So as we wrap up these 7 timeless traits, let's tie everything together. Because when you combine all of them, you don't just attract, you leave a lasting legacy. Let's finish strong. We just explored the magnetic power of mystery, the quiet depth that invites curiosity and signals true emotional maturity. Now let's bring everything together and reflect on what truly makes an older man not just attractive but unforgettable. Mastering mystery is ultimately about respecting yourself. It's about living a full, meaningful life and choosing who to share that fullness with. It's not about withholding or playing hard to get. It's about honoring your individuality and letting connection unfold at a natural pace. When you live from this place grounded in your values, anchored in your presence, you stop chasing attention. You attract something deeper, a connection based on mutual curiosity, emotional safety, and quiet admiration. Because at the end of the day, women don't just want to know who you are. They want to feel the depth of your presence and the calm confidence that comes with a man who's walked through life and owned every step of it. And that's what makes you not only irresistible, but truly unforgettable. Conclusion: aging gracefully isn't about resisting time. It's about embracing who you've become through it. Being a good-looking older man has little to do with chasing trends or clinging to surface-level traits. Real attractiveness at this stage of life comes from within. It's about the quiet strength of presence, the dignity of self-respect, the magnetism of a life well lived, True appeal now isn't found in shouting for attention, but in embodying depth, wisdom, and a calm inner certainty. How you carry yourself, how thoughtfully you speak, how carefully you care for your appearance, these are the things people remember. Because here's the truth. People aren't drawn to men who try hard to be noticed. They're drawn to men who are so rooted in who they are. They don't need to be. That stillness, that self-possession is magnetic. And whether it's the way you dress, the conversations you lead, the scent you leave behind, or even how comfortably you sit in silence, what makes you truly attractive now is how deeply you know yourself. And that's something no youth can ever compete with. Now it's your turn. What traits have you discovered that grow stronger with age? Have you experienced any of these timeless shifts in your own journey? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear your story. And if this video resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a moment of stepping deeper into your most confident, grounded self. Until next time, keep walking with presence.